Tune in this and every Saturday at 3 p.m. for the Let's Talk Fire Safety Show with host Adam Thiel, Fire Commissioner, discussing fire and life safety. Home of the Happy Hour. The Happy Hour. With Sincerely Sarita. This is Word Radio. 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD Philadelphia. Streaming live at wordradio.com and on the Word Radio app. The views and opinions expressed by the guests, listeners, and hosts of any program on Word Radio do not necessarily reflect those of ownership, management, or advertisers of this station.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Chris Murray Report on WURD 96.1 FM, 900 AM. Ladies and gentlemen, as always, got a lot of sports to talk about this weekend. Of course, the National Football League started its season amidst a global pandemic on Thursday with the Kansas City Chiefs defeating the Houston Texans 34-20, and Patrick Mahomes looked about as good as ever. But it was some of the things that happened like before, like pregame. Like you saw the Black National Anthem, Lift Every Voice and Sing. Expect to hear a lot of backlash from that, you know, because I don't know, somehow there is a part of America that has not necessarily bought into the idea that Black Americans are actually American, but we won't get into that. But and people booed during the national anthem when players came in with a sense of unity. That's, you know, wow, man. I mean, you know, it is. You know, and by the way, today, I want to introduce my producer today, and he'll be with me for a while. My man, Jordan Booth.
What's up, y'all?
Hey, Jordan, like I say, I'm going to bring Jordan in here, because, like, you know, Jordan loves his sports, too.
I do.
Yeah, you know, guys, he got his hair done and everything and all that. You know, he looks good. Got his Eagles jersey on. He's ready. Sir. He's psyched for the season and all that. I just hope that the season, you know, comes off. I mean, I'm skeptical about playing under these circumstances, but if they can make it safe, fine. Let it work. Let them make people safe.
Right,
if they don't affect, if they have to keep out half the fans and have people social distancing in the stadium, that's fine. If they do that, if it's safe, if they can do everything they can to make sure people are safe. And given the revelations that came out this week from the President of the United States, you know, you probably should be mad. You should probably be mad because he knew this thing was a threat and a danger all along, and he politicized it to the point to where 190,000 Americans are now dead from this virus. 190,000. That's more. We celebrated we honored those who died in 9/11 back in 2001, and you know, more people are dying from this virus than in any war that we've had, more than the Civil War, more than any other war. And what I'm concerned about is that the people up top knew this was going to be a danger, and they did not handle it properly, and probably didn't handle it as properly as maybe the NBA and the sports leagues are, because people are dying. And then with all the misinformation, people are out here gathering in groups. That's the thing that I fear, you know, especially at the college football level, because, you know, college football, kids are going to be at the games, you know, drinking and hooping and hollering. And then, you know, we got this virus hanging over our heads. And I'm just at a point where we have to, you know, there should have been more precaution. There shouldn't have been any, you know, Trump should have been honest with the American people, and, you know, that's one thing. So we have the Eagles, and we're going to talk some Eagles today, because the Eagles will start their season against the Washington. You cannot say Redskins anymore. Nope. It is now, and it's correct. Mm-hmm. It's the right thing. It's the right thing. I hope they come up with a name soon. I hope they come up with the Red Tails or the Red Hawks or whatever. Warriors or something. I mean, Warriors in the sense of the military kind of thing. Mm-hmm. I hope they come up with something like that. But at the same time, Washington franchise is a mess anyway, because of the sexual harassment and all this other stuff that's going on. And I mean, they're in the lives, they're going through a lot. So I want y'all to join in on the conversation, because I always, sometimes I get so enthralled in the conversation and talking about this, and I forget to tell y'all the numbers to call in. 215-634-8065, 1-866-361-0900 if you're calling outside of the Delaware Valley and other parts of the country. We'd love to have your input. If you're listening to this broadcast and you're somewhere, if somehow you're in the D.C. area, or the Baltimore area, or the New York area, or whatever area, down south or in Chicago, we hope you call in and vent your spleen about anything that's going on. And a lot of people said that we were fear-mongering when we were saying that, oh, well, we got to be careful. And you do have to be careful. People are getting this virus. And I've talked to people, known people who have the COVID-19 virus, and they will tell you in no uncertain terms that virus is no joke. And the pain that people who have survived, those who survived, it tell you about the pain that they've gone through in getting this virus. This is no joke. So you can't take this lightly. And I still say we're not out of the woods yet. They're expecting even more people to get this virus. Wear your mask. I have a screen up in front of me, so me and my producer don't spit at each other. So we don't. And I have my mask when I'm walking around. I don't trust this thing, because I'm at that point. I have allergies. I have all kinds of stuff. I'm scared to sneeze every day. I take my allergy medicines every day. Okay, so I make sure that try to make sure that I stay healthy. But in a real sense, football is here. Colleges, the Big Ten is not playing, though the Big Ten is contemplating. I think the Big Ten is going to probably wait. I think they'll play. I'm reasonably sure that they'll play now, because if everybody's protecting everybody properly and they're keeping fans out, I don't think fans should be in the stadiums gathered up, or if they are, let a limited amount of fans and everybody sit way apart from each other, just like you do at the beach. I was at the beach last week. Some of you saw the pictures on Facebook, and one picture you showed me. Denise took a picture of me sleeping. So I made a Facebook post out of it. I said, is Chris either A, enjoying sleeping because he's at the beach, or B, he's just tired, or C, he got the itis, and D, he's trying to check out the ladies on the beach on the sneak tip, and E, something else. And of course, I had the itis, which I did. I actually did have the itis. That was C. C was the correct answer. If you were on Facebook and you saw that post, that my lovely fiance took a picture of me sleeping. Yes, I had the itis. That was the answer to the question. I had the itis. That's it. I wasn't looking at anybody. When you get the itis, you sleep. You tired. Okay, but we got to talk about football on the field. The Washington football team has Dwayne Haskins starting, and I'm gonna have my friend Kelsey Nicole Nelson, who does a show on Fox DC, and she covers the Redskins as well as the Ravens and all that. And so we're gonna have her talk about who are the Eagles playing. Chase Young apparently won to start, according to some of the Washington press that I've read, won a starting job over Ryan Kerrigan, a four-time Pro Bowler. And Chase Young is the real deal. Saw him at Ohio State. He's going to be a good player. The Eagles, on the other hand, I think the Eagles are stacked along the defensive line. Fletcher Cox, Brandon Graham, and company. They're expecting, you got a lot of depth on the defensive line. This linebackers, we got this kid, I think Davian Taylor, who's at the linebacker position. I think I got his name right. But the thing is that the Eagles The Eagles are going to be they're going to be interesting because you got Jalen Mills trying to fill the void of Malcolm Jenkins on the defensive end. That's going to be tough. We're going to see what these guys look like under live bullets. We have Maurice from Southwest Philadelphia. Maurice, what's happening, man? Hello?
Hello.
Oh, you with me, bro? Okay, there you are. What's happening, Maurice?
I am Chris Murray. I had to get my Legion here. Your adoring fans at my house. I had to get them together here.
Oh, okay. Okay, well, like I said...
Well, I'm glad you brought up the subject, your first part of your commentary. I wanted to talk about something else, but you hit so strong on that. We got to understand one thing.
Right.
I'm just running real quick on the president. Why is anybody surprised? Why is anybody acting like this is news? We knew it from the beginning that he was lying.
Of course,
so
of
let's
course.
stop all this like we got a question mark. And second of all, about this man, if this would have been Obama, they've been trying to impeach him right now, no matter how close the race is.
Right. I mean, you know,
They would have said he caused almost 200,000 deaths.
Yep.
All that would have been on the front newspaper. So let's stop pretending that America likes us. You seen when the teams got together on the field as a thing of unity, and the real America was those stands and the fans that was booing. That's the real America. Let's understand where we at and what's going on, and we'd be much better if we knew and stop playing checkers and play chess and understand that make them come to us for their votes and stop the nonsense. Now, as far as football, now, it was a good game. I enjoyed it, but that was only one game. We're going to find out Sunday and then the week after when they test people how well this thing has been going on.
Yeah, that's going to be the test. Will they finish the season? Everybody started. Baseball started, but baseball had some bumps along the way. NBA has seemingly, and the WNBA, we can't forget them. They've been doing a better job of it than the rest of them, than everybody else, at keeping those those guys are not infected.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I wonder with the NFL, with so much close contact, how much, how are they going to keep? Because they're going to be spitting at each other, tackling. Sweat's going to go all over the place. You're going to get all this stuff, all these guys, hitting each other and all that. And that's going to be the question. Will they be able, in other words, will the entire offensive line of a team be wiped out because because guys are infected? And
well, how about this, Chris?
Yeah.
What are the football players allowed to go home?
I think they are allowed to go home, but they can't.
Well, there you go, right then and there. They don't have any containment on it, because if you allow to be in the game and playing some guy from all the way across the country or the next state, and then you're allowed to go home, be around people that might infect you at home, then come back to the game. See, the basketball players, they're on an island.
Right.
But the football players, what? They think they're special?
Well, the baseball players have to go home too. The baseball players.
Well, you see what happened with that, right?
Yeah, but with the baseball players, let me say this: a lot of the Florida Marlins supposedly caught it when they went to a casino and they went out hanging out. And I think the St. Louis Cardinals president, they went to a bar of some sort. So the thing is, the players. And that's maybe that's self-responsibility on their part. They can't be hanging out at the clubs, and if anybody's hanging out, because I've driven around Philadelphia, and I've driven by certain parks around the city, and people were having a cookout. I was in North Philly a couple of weeks ago, and I drove by. I can't remember the name of the park, but I drove near some park. It was like somewhere in Germantown, and I saw people out and about with no. I was like, "Where's the mask?" No one was wearing masks, and so people. It's just that with all the misinformation and all this other stuff, people aren't taking the precautions, which is why the players. I
live out here in Southwest.
Huh?
I live out here in Southwest Philly. Okay.
Right.
Nobody wears a mask.
Right.
Even when they go into the stores, they don't wear masks.
Right.
So I'm the only one look like I'm wearing a respirator when I travel. I got on a dollar raincoat and I got a mask on.
Right.
But the other people, they looking at me like I'm the crazy one.
Yeah.
So this is what I'm saying. It's no way to contain this thing because they're not doing what they have to do. We're doing it almost the way we're supposed to do it, but we're doing it the best we can. That's not good enough, Chris.
No, it's not. Maurice, I agree with you wholeheartedly. I mean, and people who've gotten this virus, and I know people around the country who's gotten this virus, and it's no joke. You get sick. I mean, and especially people my age. I ain't gonna throw out y'all. If you look at me, I still look relatively young for my age.
Well, they call you a young boy anyway. But go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. See, that's why I love you, man. You all right with me. That's why I like about you. But the thing is, I have my own pre-existing conditions. I have terrible allergies. Sometimes you've heard me on the show sneezing, coughing, and I'm trying not to. But I make it a point. Denise makes it a point. Make sure before I go to bed, take all my appropriate medicines and all this other stuff because I don't want to get that virus, and I don't want to get that with any with any of my pre-existing conditions, and I don't want to spread it. When I'm out in public, like we're here in the studio, there's a barrier between myself and Jordan, my producer. He has his mask on. I have my mask. If I have to use the men's room, the mask goes on. If I have to go into the store, I remember one time I walked into a Wawa and I was just like, I forgot my mask. Ran right out to the car. So you got to have your mask, man. You got to wear it when you're in public.
But this is what I'm saying. See, people think, okay, the players, but they're not only around the players. They're around the run a football team. You may have almost 100 other people do other things for the players. So they're around them too.
Right.
And they're traveling like that, and it's just to the point of I don't know how anybody in their mind can think that they can, especially as large as football teams are, that they can actually properly contain it and try to sell that to us. I mean, we watching it with nobody in the stands, but they come in contact with so many other people.
Yeah.
Like you say, it's sweat, dirt, and don't forget, blood that flows all over during a football team. And they're going to act like, we're perfectly safe, and it's a joke. And any college teams out there, I would say this, if you was a college player and I was a parent, that's just like sending your kid into a burning building with gasoline draws on. That's how I look at it. And I won't leave you with that because there's probably other callers. But, Chris, I am Chris Murray, and you're the best.
Thank you, my man. We got Patrick from New Jersey. Patrick, how are you?
I'm doing all right.
You're doing all right. What say you all about? Are you excited about the season? Excited about your Eagles, or
no.
You're not?
No, the whole thing. I mean, it's contrived. It's not. Colin Kaepernick's still not in the league.
I agree.
Yeah, I mean, come on now. This whole thing is such a joke in that sense. And you know what? I'll be honest. The whole, saying you can't conglomerate at these places, but then they're going to have. I mean, been to a Walmart.
Mm-hmm. I've been to Walmart. I go to Walmart a lot.
How many people do you think a clerk at a Walmart comes into contact with?
A whole lot. Although Walmart, at least where I live, you can't get into the Walmart without a mask. You cannot. Yeah. They will throw you out of Walmart with a mask.
There's been numerous studies done to show that masks cannot stop or contain the spread of a viral pathogen.
Okay.
I mean, numerous studies. I mean, listen, wearing a mask ain't going to do nothing unless you cover your eyes too. You know that, right? Your eyes.
Yeah, no, I get that, but
your eyes, the moisture on your eyes, right? As you walk through the air, viruses stick to your eyes.
Okay. Now I'm not a scientist. I'll take your word for it.
That's why if you see a surgeon will have 2 masks on plus a shield while they're doing surgery. Mostly that's so none of their mucus or anything goes into the open wounds of a person who's in surgery.
Right.
Like an N95 mask, by the way, it doesn't. Like when you breathe out, it has no filter for the outward breath. So whoever's standing near the front of an N95 mask is getting full-on breath of the person in front of them.
Right. That's interesting. I never thought about it that way.
Isn't there. I'm a scientist, by the way. I'm an inventor.
Well, let me ask you this question: Do you think that we should be playing at all right now? Do you think that?
Yeah, I think what needs to happen is we need to go back to normal life, and I'll tell you why. Because you know what I hear a lot of people, especially on this station, saying is that if a vaccine comes, they're not going to take it.
Wow.
Right. So if you're not going to take the vaccine, then how would you expect to get back to a so-called normal life that is going to be only dictated if you take a vaccine or not? Literally, listen, Chris, they're going to have what's called an immunity passport.
Right.
Trust me on this. The immunity passport is going to tell whether you've been vaccinated or not, whether you're positive or not, whether you're high risk or not, and you're going to be relegated to certain areas and cities and buildings and events based upon your immunity passport status.
Okay. Well,
so
I don't have the factual information on that, but that is an interesting point. I mean, I will consult those who would know, but you know that's interesting. So you think they should be?
Who did they say they're giving the vaccine to first?
I think they're giving it
Black people.
Yeah.
Black people and Native Americans.
Right.
So
if it messes up, you know, who cares? Who cares if Black people and Native Americans and people of color die, right?
I do.
That's
why I call this show and I warn people. I think this whole thing is contrived. I think it's contrived in order to create a new war on humanity, specifically on the black race. And that's why you have 2,800 positive cases in Camden, New Jersey, but only 75 in Haddonfield.
Wow. Okay.
So that's my belief. It's sure. Is there a virus out there? Well, there's a lot of viruses out there.
Right.
But the reaction to the virus. Here's a question: why do they need $75 billion for a surveillance program? That's what they're asking for.
That's a good question. Well, Patrick, those
Pro on steroids.
Okay. All right.
That's my belief.
All right. Well, Patrick, thanks for the call. I got to move forward. Thank you. Okay. We have Richard. Well, we have Richard from I'm going to assume North Philadelphia. Richard, how are you?
Yes. How you doing, Chris?
I'm doing okay.
Yeah, you're talking about this here virus thing. Well, I'm wearing my mask every day, regardless of whether I see people doing it or not.
Yeah.
I'm not taking, risk any for chances or anything like that. As far as football, I'm glad the season is here, even though I'm a little apprehensive with some things,
right.
Myself, I'm being a little cautious about this here, too. I watched the game the other night, and I saw the players when they came together on the field, even though what I didn't like was the booing. There was something I heard some.
Yeah. I mean, that was terrible. On the booing was terrible, and that's a sad commentary on the country and the divisiveness that exists in this country. Yeah. And I was glad they did. A lot of people are upset about, justifiably so, because one of the things that this thing revealed, and even when Roger Goodell, all of a sudden he's saying that, well, maybe Kaepernick is right and all this other stuff. Mm-hmm. What it revealed was the racism of the owners. Was the fact that a lot of the owners, are Trump supporters. They are, and they support that kind. And the thing is, I've tried, numerous times on this show to explain to people that, patriotism. Okay, thank you. Patriotism is not just waving a flag around. What John Lewis and the Civil Rights Movement did years ago, that's patriotism. Yeah. Even the rebellion of some of the people, and the people in the Black Power community will probably argue with me, but even what they did was an act of, we want America to live up to we want the country to live up to its principles. If this is a fair and equal society, and I mean, if it's like that on paper, then we want the country to live up to that on paper. But you can't, you can't get people who are dug in and entrenched in this right wing kind of one way philosophy to buy into that idea. Mm-hmm. And that whole thing wasn't the players, it wasn't the coaches. The coaches would have put him out there, but the owners, the owners were so afraid of Trump, and they've done everything they could to keep him out. And see, that's what I want Roger Goodell to do: acknowledge, to say to the owners this was wrong to do this to Colin Kaepernick, but they won't do it. They won't do it. But and I'm not expecting them to, but I'm saying that they ought to. I'm saying that they ought to do it. They may not want to do it, but they ought to. Hey, look, thanks for the coverage. I got to go to break. Okay. You're listening to 96.1 FM, 900 AM, WURD, the Chris Murray Report. We'll be right back.
Support independent black media and join the onWURD movement now at 215-425-7875 or visit wordradio.com.
Tune in Saturdays from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. to hear Empire Capital and Consulting founder Mark Palmer's show titled Black Money, Black Power. This show centers around black money and how black power is derived from money. Tune in every Saturday from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. Black Money, Black Power, hosted by Mark Palmer.
Family Therapy Vignette Moments with Dr. Lucille Ijoy. It's never too early to talk about registration and voting. Listen to this rap about registration and voting. It's called A Two-Step by Dr. Lucille W. Ijoy and Bill D. Jolly. Listen to Grandmama and take this special note. Step 1 is registration. Step 2, go out and vote. It's called a two-step. It's called a two-step. Yeah, the two-step. It's called a two-step. Calling all citizens, don't you delay. It's time to do the two-step and do it right away. You say you want to have, you say you want to change. Well, get up off your duck, you have the power to arrange. Two-step, it's called the two-step. Yeah, the two-step, it's called the two-step. Listen to Grandmama and take this special note. Step 1 is registration. Step 2, go out and vote. It's called a two-step. It's called a two-step. Yeah.
You're listening to Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD, independent black media.
Well, after I finished doing my two-step during the commercial, I like that. That had me. I was up there to get my little groove on. But in any event, ladies and gentlemen, we have Fishman. At the bottom of the album, I'm expecting my good friend Kelsey Nicole Nelson from Fox Sports News in D.C. to talk about Skins and Eagles. I mean, Washington Eagles. No more Skins. So, meanwhile, we have Fishman from University City online. Fishman. Gotta hook 'em to cook 'em and buy 'em to fry 'em. What's happening, brother?
Hey, guess what? Take my hat off, man. I'm watching you on TV right now.
Take your hat off. That's my hat. You got my hat?
That's my hat.
That's your hat.
I'm going to call you out for a fight, and guess what? It's going to be tonight.
Okay.
And we're going to have some shrimp, and we're going to have some lobster.
Shrimp and some... Well, where you live, man, you got shrimp and lobster. I'm coming down there. If you, and if you got crabs and crab cakes, I'm gonna be there in 5 minutes.
And don't forget the crawfish.
Oh yeah, for a crawfish etouffee. Come on, man, I got some Cajun roots in me somewhere. I got some New Orleans roots, as well as huh.
My hat off.
Take your.
At least give it to me, because I'm watching you right now.
But you like the hat though, right? You like the hat.
That's my hat.
That's your hat.
They call me the Hatter. They call me the Mad Hatter. Let's get down to Jimmy Bucket.
Okay. Jimmy Bucket is
what he was supposed to do?
Huh?
He went somewhere and wan. Is that a word? Wan.
And wan?
He went somewhere and wan.
And wan? I think one, or is that another way? Huh?
And left these duds, 3 of them, 3 duds, starting out with the head coach, to themselves. He left them duds to themselves.
Yeah, and he's balling. He is absolutely balling. That man is balling. He is balling to the point. Jimmy, now
Thursday night football. How do you like it?
Well, I like Patrick Mahomes, and I gotta say this to Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson had every right to be upset with Texas management because they traded DeAndre Hopkins to the Arizona Cardinals, and it showed. It showed in that game, and I didn't like the fact that the fans booed. That the fans booed. I didn't like that at all because it basically, basically it's America. I mean, and I hate to say it like that because, and that's not every American, but you know, we just have that. But the game itself was good. America, yeah. Jamel Charlo is fighting. I think I want to say next week or 2 weeks from now. One of the Charlo brothers is fighting.
I'm not sure. I know football season starts. Give me your Eagles and give me the Washington team on tomorrow. Give me your respective line up. Let somebody else.
Okay. All right. Well, I think.
Chris,
yeah.
Tip my hat.
Goodbye. All right. Well, I'm gonna say this. This game is so full of uncertainty, and I'm gonna bring in. We gotta bring Kelsey in, and Kelsey from Fox Sports Radio DC. And Kelsey, I don't know what I'm gonna see. All I know is that that Chase Young has apparently moved Ryan Kerrigan out of his position. Dwayne Haskins has looked good. You have a good running back in Antonio Gibson, whom no one has seen as of yet. What are you seeing out of this Washington football team that we ought to know about? And should we in Philadelphia be afraid of you guys?
Well, first off, Chris, thanks so much for having me. So excited to be on. I think we are all, first off, excited that football is back in week 1. I don't think you could ask for a better matchup. You talked about it. Chris, since I've been in D.C., born and bred here, I haven't seen this much excitement around the team in a while. And you talked about one of those people, and that's Chase Young, who people are wanting Chase Young to get right to the quarterback. They expect big things from him, and many are thinking that he will have a standout rookie year. And I think a lot of pressure, too, in addition to everything you said, is on Dwayne Haskins. This is a year he has to prove himself. We're talking about the year of the black quarterback. Well, Dwayne Haskins, we know he has an arm. We know he's great, but we need to see it on the football field. And I think a lot of people have said so many great things about him coming out of camp. He's lost weight. He's in better shape. And he's been really great and accurate throwing the football. We need that from him because the Washington offense is going to have to come up big. Philadelphia, the defense is there. But Dwayne Haskins, you talked about the running game, a very strong running game. I know many were worried, Chris, when Adrian Peterson, of course, AP, left the team. Yeah, but think about how strong the running game is, and that just tells you if you can cut a veteran like AP, a future Hall of Famer like Adrian Peterson, then you know your running game is obviously super strong. And I think that Washington team is a team that people do have to watch out for. Let me tell you, this game is winnable for Washington if Dwayne Haskins, of course, is accurate, and hopefully the injury bug does not hurt the team. But I think this is going to be a good game, and you guys might need to be a little bit afraid in Philly, Chris.
Yeah, because you might be right because. Now, for what I understand, Dwayne Haskins, they like Dwayne Haskins so much that they made him a captain. Now, that's a lot of responsibility. And on defense, the Washington team does have some veterans. Landon Collins at the safety position, and they got Jonathan Allen, and like I said, Chase Young. So there's some potential there. But the Eagles are going to be coming with a lot of speed as well. I mean, the Eagles. I've really been impressed with Jalen Reagor during training camp.
Yeah,
I mean, and he's the speed. They also got a couple of rookies, Kez Watkins and John Hightower, who are also speedy. And then when the Eagles go to their 12 personnel package, when they got the 2 tight ends and 2 wide receivers, that's going to, with the speed that they have on the outside, and I'm wondering if the Washington defense can cover that speed on the outside, and if they do, then you're going to open up in the middle for Dallas Goedert and Zach Ertz, and so that's going to be an interesting situation for that Redskins defense. So you're saying that they're actually optimistic in Washington. Now, this is in the midst of the fact that Daniel Snyder they're all going through, the league is investigating sexual harassment within the team and whatnot, but yet are fans hoping that it's a way of getting rid of Snyder at this point? Are you seeing that kind of talk down there?
Yeah, I think, I'll be honest, Chris, the fans just want positivity around this football team. It's obviously been a negative, dark cloud over Washington. Of course, the team name is there. We're still getting used to saying the full thing, Washington football team, right? Say that 3 times fast. But I think with the owner, it's been disheartening, of course, to see these allegations. But I do think Jason Wright being hired as the team president, which is still phenomenal for that Washington football team.
The first black president. Yep.
Yes, that was huge. And then Julie Donaldson being the highest-ranking female that will be in a broadcast booth this season. So we're seeing very positive changes coming out of Washington. I think that's kind of putting a light over it. And again, the young rookie class, the draft class, Chase Young, everybody's behind these guys. And I think they know this team can prove themselves. And again, I think many are finally believing in Dwayne Haskins. I think you're right. That captain title is very big and very heavy. But I will say times are pretty good in Washington. I'd say probably the biggest concerns I've heard, Chris, you talked about defense, probably just the secondary. I think the secondary is something that the Washington has to get stronger on. It's something that teams can hopefully not obliterate this season, but if they do have a weakness on defense, it's that. Because the defensive front, many feel are coming, and this is a team that last season proved they can get to the quarterback, and I think this season it will be something that they can do again. Jerron Payne, you talked about Montez Sweat. I mean, just huge, huge names that Washington can come up huge for on the defensive side of the football. And, of course, on the offensive side, Dwayne Haskins has to prove and coming up big. And, of course, the story about Alex Smith, Chris, how can you not get behind that in this Washington football team? Yeah. There are some positive lights, with Washington, despite everything going on, of course, with the ongoing allegations that have come out from these women who I first off applaud for coming forward about, just what happened.
Yeah, and because that seems to be there's a lot of and I'm kind of shocked that you're saying that the fans are optimistic, because I remember a couple of years ago I covered a Washington football team game, and I went through the tailgate as I was trying to get into the stadium. I won't be in town this week because of COVID and everything, but right. I remember walking through the tailgate. And the anger and the lack of enthusiasm, because I was in Washington as a native Baltimorean in the glory days, and and when every play, and there was a Redskins show on literally every channel in DC. Mm-hmm. And now you're saying that somehow, and that the optimism obviously comes from Ron Rivera. What kind of difference? I know Ron Rivera is also dealing with cancer, but what type of difference has Ron Rivera made in this town so far, just by his presence and the things that he's been doing?
Yeah, I think I'm so happy you asked this. I think Ron Rivera has just been a positive light, a gleaming light. He's obviously well respected in the coaching ranks, and he's been just very visible. He's been clear with the fans. He's changing the culture. He was here for a reason, and fans are actually seeing that. They see that even though this is a team that won 3 games last season with Ron Rivera, they're believing, because you talked about it. I've been at those games too, Chris, where StubHub tickets were $4 to go to a Washington game.
That's unbelievable.
And the tailgate section. So I know what you're talking about. I've been at a game where there was more opposing fans. I mean, people had really stopped believing in Washington. And remind you, since you're from Baltimore, you understand that it was hard to root for a Washington team when you have the Ravens next door just killing last season, right? So it was really hard times. But I do think with Ron Rivera, and you talked about just him battling cancer and just being so transparent with the fans, and again, just seeing just the light he's been, just seeing all the positive coming out of Washington under his leadership. You've only heard positive things about him, Jack Del Rio and so many others. Everyone believes. And I think that's something that was lost in Washington. It's coming back. And, of course, this first game will be a telling tale. But Ron Rivera, I would say, was definitely the right man for the job. Because, again, I haven't seen this light in Washington in a couple seasons. So it feels good in D.C., even with the political election coming up. Of course, I know there's some disgruntled, but the sports fans in Washington seem to be pretty happy and very excited for Week 1, even though they can't be there in tailgate. I know it'll be a fun time in D.C. if they should win this football game.
Yeah. What do you know about this kid, Antonio Gibson? Everybody's been reading the stories down there. People are raving about this guy to the point where, as we said earlier, they had to cut Adrian Peterson. And if you had to cut a future Hall of Famer like him, then the other guy must be really good.
Must be really great, right? Like you said, I mean, Adrian Peterson, when you think about the running back position, so many look up to him, including Gibson. And that just tells you, I mean, everyone believes in him. He's a powerful, he can get you the yards that you need, and he's not afraid. And I think that's what Washington has been needing. And I think, again, when you look at this team offensively, we haven't talked about Washington offensively really other than Terry McLaurin and Dwayne Haskins. But what he adds, I think, is just magnificent. And I will tell you, everyone's just really excited for what he'll bring. And it just adds another weapon for this offense. So, Chris, you talked about it, but it's good times in Washington. We think there's going to be lots of positives on the offensive side of the ball.
Okay. One more thing. Yeah, McLaurin killed the Eagles last year in that opening day.
One of his best games. Yeah.
He killed them. Well, so, okay, now I'm going to put you on the spot because I know you're about to do your thing in D.C. Put you on the spot here. Give me a prediction. I guess you're going to give me the hometown prediction. But how do you think do you believe Washington will win this game on Sunday?
Ooh, all right. You are putting me on the spot. So I'm biased being from this area. I think it's going to be a close game. I think if Dwayne Haskins is error-free, right, no interceptions, I do think Washington has a chance to win this football game. But it's hard to go against Philly. I mean, again, Carson Wentz and what he can do. The defense, Darius Slay, might as well call him Darius Slayer. I mean, what he can do in the impact he can have, it's pretty scary. But I do think it is a winnable game for Washington again, but they have to be error-free. If they have any turnovers, I do think Philadelphia will claim this game. Okay.
Well, I'll tell you my prediction. I think Eagles will win this game 27-17.
All right, you have it close, Chris. I'll take it.
Okay. All right.
It's going to be close. I like that pick. But the Eagles, I'm excited for what they can do this year. Again, I think they're also a team that has a lot to prove, and it's going to be a good one. Everyone in Washington is waiting for it. We're just glad football's back, Chris.
Okay. Well, Kelsey, we're gonna let you go because I know you have to do your thing. But where can we find your show online or on the radio I think you do a podcast as well.
Yeah, so everyone can check me out on Fox Sports Radio, 96.9 FM and 1340 AM. And the DMV area, and my podcast, Listen In with KNN, is available on iTunes, Google Play, and Spotify. Everyone should check it out. New episodes drop every Tuesday. And then I also have a live stream show that I do every Thursday at 6 p.m. and Saturday at 2 p.m. on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. And today, if people want to watch, I'll be live at noon with Doug Williams, the Senior Vice President for the Washington football team, and, of course, former Super Bowl MVP of the Washington football team. So I hope everyone can check it out.
All right. Thank you very much. That's Kelsey Nicole Nelson over Fox Sports in D.C. Thank you for being here with us. We've got to go to break. You're listening to 96.1 FM, 900 AM, WURD, Black Talk Media, the Chris Murray Report. We'll be right back.
This is not a fad for us. We will not resume our regular programming when things die down. We're not black to help our bottom line or because it's politically correct. We're not joining a fight. This has been our fight, our message, our people. Black lives have always mattered here. We are undeniably, indefatigably, unapologetically, permanently Black Talk Media. WURD.
How do we make sense of our nation's history with race, privilege, and inequality? On Thursday, September 24th at 6 p.m., join Pulitzer Prize-winning author and Harvard University historian Annette Gordon-Reed as she discusses the challenges of wrestling with America's complicated past. This free virtual event is part of the Museum of the American Revolution's Carl M. Buchholz lecture series. Tickets are free, but registration is required at amrevmuseum.org or by calling 215-253-6731.
No fear, just facts. This is WURD, independent Black media. Jobs, entrepreneurship opportunities, small business resources, and financial literacy. Livelihood. The new initiative from Word Radio to connect Philadelphians to resources to help take the next steps in their professional lives. WordWorks.com features career readiness tools, entrepreneurship resources, funding opportunities, and events to expand your livelihood. Visit WURDworks.com right now and take the next step in your professional journey. Livelihood is supported by the Nightland Fest's Local News Transformation Fund, Borealis Philanthropies Racial Equity and Journalism Fund, and the Solutions Journalism Network. You're listening to Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD, independent Black media.
Okay, we're back. Now, Jordan and I were sitting here, we were talking about Jason Tatum of the Celtics. And I'm telling you, the Sixers should be kicking themselves, and they should never do deals with Danny Ainge because Danny Ainge, they should put Danny Ainge on, and there's a podcast on Apple Podcasts called Swindled. It's about about government corruption, corporations, and all that. And they should do an episode on how Danny Ainge just swindled the Sixers. They should do something. They should do something like that. But the Eagles. I'm gonna keep it. And by the way, the call-in numbers. You want to talk some football? You want to talk anything? Social justice issues. The pandemic. Should we still be playing football? What did you think of the fans booing in Kansas City? 215-634-8065, 1-866-361-0900. Love to hear from you guys on those issues and to talk about, the whole thing. And what did you think about they play Lift Every Voice and Sing? I guess that's the NFL's way. I mean, it's a symbolic gesture. It is what the people in Black Lives Matter call a performative gesture. Okay? Kaepernick is not back in the league, and the thing is, I don't think that they've fully been. I don't think they've been totally contrite about that. And so, I just want to get an idea of where people think. Are you excited about football? Are you excited about your EAGLES Eagles? The Eagles, I will say this: offensively, their weapons are pretty good. I saw Jalen Reagor in camp, and I hope he proves me, because I said some things. I said they should have drafted another guy ahead of him, and I hope he proves me wrong. I hope he does so well. That's a situation where I hope he proves me wrong. If he proves me wrong, fine. I'm like, hey, the geniuses at the Eagles front office, I'll give them credit. I'm the first one to say, you know what, people, I will give credit where credit is due. So I think the Eagles will beat Washington. I think twice. I said 27-17. I might change my mind, but but the thing is, but you never know. Washington might be good. I mean,
and plus also to add on to that too, it's like something like pretty much like you're just coming from this is the first game back. Usually like the Eagles can be really rusty first games and stuff. So
right.
It's like,
and the thing is, nobody's played preseason. Now the Chiefs. Now, I watched that game the other day. DeAndre Hopkins. I mean, Deshaun Watson has to be really upset with Houston management, because they could. I mean, basically, they had nobody. They had no deep game. They had no deep game, and they had no. I mean, they couldn't figure. They couldn't run on Kansas City, which I found shocking. But they just couldn't get anything going until late. And by that time, Patrick Mahomes was just passing everything. And Clyde Edwards Hilaire. I told everybody at the draft. I said, when the Chiefs got him, that kid can play. I watched the kid out of LSU. That kid can play. That guy can play football. He's a little guy, but he can play. Okay, we got Brother Joe from Germantown. Brother Joe, what's happening, man?
Hey, Chris, hello to your good young brother, Jordan. Wonderful young brother, man. How y'all brothers doing today?
We're doing okay, man. I hadn't had breakfast yesterday, man. I'm hungry, but go on, man.
Hey, I'm hungry too, Chris. You stole me that sandwich. I
still owe you a sandwich. That's right. That's right. We still owe you. I'm going to get you that sandwich. You gonna get sandwich.
I know. We'll go one of these days. Chris ain't worried about it. But Chris, real quick, man, let me say this before I talk about Dick Allen and Johnny Sapp, but let me say this about what you just said. See, it's a pattern. I was talking to a good friend of mine yesterday at the Black Bank where I bank, and I said, you ever notice they learn, I said, when these black quarterbacks, they learn to take their weapons away, but here Tom Brady, they give him all the weapons he needs. They still ain't going nowhere. But the point is they give him all the weapons he needs and stuff. But you take away Deshaun Watson's weapons and stuff, man. They do that with black quarterbacks.
Right.
They have no weapon. And that's a pattern. I'm not speaking from ignorance. I'm speaking from...
You're right. I agree.
You're speaking facts.
You're right. I've seen that. Yeah.
You know what I mean? But like I said, Tampa Bay might make the playoffs, but they're not going nowhere. But like they'd be winning. If they make the playoffs, they'd be probably 10-6, whatever. They'd be one and done. They're not going nowhere. They can't beat the 49ers. They and some of the better teams and stuff. They won't beat Green Bay, so they'll be one and done. But anyway, I want to commend you, Chris, on your column with Dick Allen. Just read it in the Sunday Sun a few minutes ago. I was waiting in the post office to get read on. I was reading the Sunday Sun. I said, excellent comment about Dick Allen. Hopefully he's been in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
And because I hope somebody like you, Donald Hunt, y'all brothers that's in the media, y'all can push for Dick Allen and Johnny Sample getting their respective Hall of Fame, just like Ray Dininger did for Tommy McDonald. I mean, he advocated for this guy to get in, and he finally got him in. I hope y'all can do the same thing for Dick, because Dick Allen, it's a crime, a shame that Dick Allen and Johnny Sample not in the Hall. And I want Dick Allen to better get in there before his eyes is closed, because Johnny, hopefully he'll make it soon, but see, Johnny not here physically to see it. But I think Dick Allen is still living, so I hope Dick Allen can smell the roses and get his accolades while he's still on this earth and stuff, man. So I pray with all my heart, with all praise be to Allah, that y'all brothers like Donald Hunt, y'all can get your Dick Donald Hunt, all y'all brothers Dow, Bell, y'all can get together and make sure that them advocate for Johnny Sample and Dick Allen get inducted to the respective Hall of Fame, man. It's only proper, man, because you got guys in that baseball Hall of Fame that can't carry Dick Allen jock. You got cornerbacks in the Pro Football Hall of Fame can't carry Johnny Sample's jock. It's just that simple, man.
I would agree with that. I think Johnny Sample was a fierce competitor. People don't realize. I mean, it's a funny thing, Joe and also Jordan. When Johnny Sample died, I was calling around to different people at the Tribune. Like I talked to John Dockery who played with the Jets, who was a broadcaster, and he said, I don't think we talked, but he gave me a quote on my voicemail saying, man, Johnny was the man. A lot of people, Joe Dave, they all respected Johnny Sample. There was a certain respect that he had, and in that Super Bowl game against Baltimore, he had a diving interception and ended a key drive when the Colts were coming back. And he was just a fierce competitor. But one of the people I tried to talk to was Tom Matte of the Colts. And Tom Matte just said, even to this day, has no love for the man because they got into it at that Super Bowl. And, and that's the kind of player Sample was. Sample knew how to get...
Talk a little trash, too.
Yeah, Sample knew how to get into your skin. And I think he should be there because, like I said again, out of Maryland State or Maryland Eastern Shore, and one of the great players that played this game. And I hope everybody, does everything. I will do everything I can on my end to get him in the Hall and to get Dick Allen. One of the things I wish I would have been a part of the baseball rights. Even though I was covering baseball a lot, there was someone told me there was some rule about, because I didn't go on the road with the teams and all that because of working with the Tribune. But the thing is, I wish I would have gotten on the baseball rights, and still, who knows, I like to do it again, but I have to really cover I wish I could cover baseball on a full-time level as I used to. But the thing is that the baseball rights won't be deciding that. It's going to be the Veterans Committee. And
exactly.
And I think that there are enough people, and I really like what the Phillies managing partner. I was really impressed because he basically said, look, no one could have understood what Dick Allen was going through. People were throwing rocks into his house, throwing stuff at him on the field, and calling him, because he dared to assert himself, this bad black guy, this bad Negro, bad, I hate to use the term, they call him a bad nigga. I mean, that's a part of, part of literary, that thing. But the thing is that Dick Allen, when I talked to him, God, he was the nicest. I mean, I did an interview.
Brother, I met him in person. Pretty couple of 2 or 3 occasions. One time I met him through to my man over at WIP and stuff. Beautiful brother and stuff, man. Just humble. He talked with me and my friend Smitty one time at the old Union Hall down on Delaware Avenue, Chris. He talked to us for like a whole hour. We stand in the corner, just talk. He talked to us like we knew us from like family and stuff, man. Just a good conversation, talking about baseball, talking about, life and stuff, man. Just a good guy, man.
Yeah, I mean,
brother, man.
I interviewed him for the Tribune on the phone, and we ended up talking for almost like 2 hours. I mean, we just talked. I mean, because the thing about it, and I like a lot of old school guys. Once they get beyond whatever, they're pretty good. But Joe, I gotta move on to Clyde from South Philly.
Bless him, man.
All right. All right. Thanks for the call, Joe. And Clyde from South Philly, how are you, man?
I'm good, man. Thanks for taking my call, and I agree wholeheartedly with everything that Germantown Joe said. You know, especially with Johnny. And matter of fact, the name that Washington has now, Johnny actually coined that phrase. He never said the Washington Redskins. He always said the Washington Football Club.
Right. There, you know, Johnny was one of two guys. I knew a guy in D.C., Butch McAdams. They called him the coach. Butch never called the Washington football. He never used the term Redskins. He never used that term. And when I was a sports editor for the Gazette newspapers in Prince George's County, and he would call me to be on the show talking Redskins, and I'm talking Washington. See, I did it again. But the thing is, he never used the name. But so what are you thinking about the Eagles right now?
I'm not into sports right now at all with all these people dying.
Right,
you know
right.
I was listening to this guy earlier saying he was a scientist and stuff and things like that there, and we should go back to where we've been. Do people realize how many people died?
Yeah, I mean,
do they understand that?
I there are a lot of conspiracy theories out there.
Wait a minute, because over 200,000 people
have died.
Predicted to be dead. It's almost
right.
180 something. I mean,
it's 190. It's 190,000.
Yeah, something like that there. Yeah, something like that there. And it's like you can't get no closer than football. Spit, sweat, you know, blood. You name it. So right. I mean, I understand that people want to be entertained and all like that there. I mean, it's basically chronic the way I'm looking at it. This is a world of sport and play right now.
Right.
They getting, you know, all the accolades are being geared toward that.
Right.
Here's an interesting thing, Chris.
Right.
Are any libraries open?
I don't think are there. I mean, I'm not really sure. I'll have to.
See, that's what I'm saying. A lot of destructions of different societies it started with libraries. Is that correct?
Right. People burning books.
I'm just putting things out there, you know.
Yeah.
And as far as like Dick Allen, I mean, he should be in the hall.
Right.
Johnny should be in the hall. And I'm going out on a limb with this. Bo Jackson should be in both halls.
You know, that's interesting you bring that up because, see, a lot of people, when they choose Hall of Fame, they look at statistics and numbers. But but to me, there's a lot that goes beyond statistics and numbers. You know, I think, you know, were you one of the best of your era? Were you, and I know people get mad at me when I say I'll make a case for Donovan McNabb, okay? Because I think McNabb, while not winning a Super Bowl, was really the prime weapon for the Eagles, and take him off the field, the Eagles are an also-ran team, okay?
Argument for I can't even think his name right now.
Yeah.
Cunningham.
Yeah.
No argument for him.
Yeah, I mean, you can make an argument because some guys, like, for example, Gale Sayers only played 5 years and didn't necessarily rack up. I mean, he had some numbers, but Gale Sayers was the most exciting player in the league, was unstoppable. The guy was...
And that's why I said Bo. I mean, I think it's a 5-year rule or something like that there, but, I mean, he was tearing up both leagues.
Oh, yeah.
He was tearing up both
baseball
leagues at the time.
Yeah.
And him and Deion.
Yeah.
To be honest, they was tearing up both leagues, but are they going to get any accolades?
Deion Sanders will get in. I think Deion Sanders is in. I'm not really sure. If he's not in, he ought to be in.
He is.
Yeah. Deion Sanders. Deion Sanders. I mean, not baseball. He's not in baseball though. I mean, he didn't do much in baseball. He didn't have time, I think, to really, put it together in baseball. Not like what Bo did. But the thing is, I do think that Dick Allen should have been in. I think that Johnny Sample should be in, one of the great AFL players and all that. NFL won championships with both Baltimore and the New York Jets and beat Baltimore and had an interception in that game.
He's the only player at that distinction to have that.
Right.
3 different championships.
Right.
That should put him in there, period.
Right. And so, that's one thing. I do think that Sample was that great a player. I really do. And so he should be in, but people have. There's another guy. There's one of my old Baltimore Colts guys ought to be in there too. Now he's a white guy, but I'm an advocate for the Colts, but I think this sample should be in. I'm first one to say. I'm first one to say that he ought to be in the Hall of Fame. So you're absolutely right. Well, we got to go to break.
You're going to stop, real quick, you're going to stop beating up on my Celtics, man. They just using their head. That's all.
I'm not beating. Have you heard me beat up? I didn't beat up on the Celtics. Nah, man. Come on, Clyde, bruh. You know me. I ain't beat up on your Celtics.
Boston, we use our head, man. Philly don't have a head. That's why they going through so much stuff right now. They need a coach. They need a GM. They need an arena.
Okay. All right. We got on that note, man, we got to go to break. You're listening to 96.1 FM, 9 AM WURD Black Talk Media. Chris Murray Report will be right back.
Dietz & Watson has been making premium meats and artisan cheeses for over 80 years. And when it comes to stacking sandwiches and party platters, they've got something for everyone in the family, like maple honey turkey breast, American cheese, buffalo chicken, and more. So get to your local deli and taste 4 generations of family recipes. With Dietz & Watson on the table, you'll have everyone coming back for seconds and thirds. Dietz & Watson, it's a family thing since 1939.
Listen to Laborers Live.
We created the weekend. We created the 40-hour work week. We just want enough to feed our family, be able to send our children to college, and let our next generation do better than we did.
To people that might have forgot how important unionism is in a country like the United States. People now infringing on our 8-hour workday, trying to work people more than 8 hours without overtime, trying to work people without benefits. In the long run, everybody's getting a fat paycheck except the worker. So this is really a wake-up call for America.
The struggle is continuous. Tune in to Laborers Live every Friday from 4 to 5 p.m. Sponsored by LESIT, the Laborers Employers Cooperation Education Trust of the Laborers District Council of Philadelphia and vicinity.
Local 332, Sam Staten Jr. Business Manager. Local 57, Esteban Vera Business Manager. Local 135, Dan Woodall Jr. Business Manager. Local 413, James Harper Jr. Business Manager. The Laborers District Council, Ryan Boyer Business Manager, and Tony Staten, Executive Director of LESIT.
Tune in this Sunday at 2 p.m. for the Gastrology Conversation Show, providing information and understanding about your colon health with Dr. Stephen Blake.
This is Word Radio,
96.1 FM
and 900 AM WURD Philadelphia. Black
Talk Media.
You're listening to Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD, independent black media.
Okay, we're back. Now, I got to say this. We ain't beat up on the Celtics. We were basically saying, hey, Jason Tatum, although I don't like the Celtics, no. I don't root for teams out of Boston generally. No, I don't. I'm not a fan. But we were praising Jason Tatum, who's a heck of a player, who the Sixers should have got. I'm still mad about that. But let's talk. But I want to bring it back since football season is starting. I mean, by the way, you know, we said earlier, I'll go back to what Jimmy Butler has just killed. Is just, you know, it has been a beast in these playoffs, and that's going to be a heck of a series. If Miami and Boston, I'm going to watch that series just for. I'm going to get my buttered popcorn, buttered microwave popcorn. I'm going to watch that series, and I'm going to get some M&Ms too. But I'm going to definitely watch that. We got we have my man Dr. Eugene in Maryland. This is the guy who came up with the Lift Every Voice and Sing campaign. Is that right? How are you, sir?
Hey, Chris and radio audience. I'm calling this morning with excitement.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll tell you, you know that I was able to get NBA teams and NCAA teams to sing and or play Lift Every Voice and Sing.
Right.
And I didn't hesitate in calling Roger Goodell's office about a month ago.
Right.
I don't know that my call had anything to do with the decision, but I'm saying to you and the audience, I have never been a Washington football team fan.
Right.
Never in my life.
Right.
I am now a fan of the Washington football team. Why? I'm a fan, number one, because of the president, young black president of the Washington football team, my fraternity brother. He's an alpha.
Are you? Wait, hold on. Let me hold you up for a sec. He's an alpha, huh? Well,
yes,
I'm your fraternity brother too.
Okay, Chris. Very good.
Oh, 6. Go on. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and not only that, Haskins, the young quarterback.
Right.
I'm really, really excited, and I'm going to really get involved. But you know, when I listen tomorrow at 1 o'clock when we play the Philadelphia Eagles.
Mm-hmm.
I will be listening primarily to Miss Keys. Have you heard her?
Alicia Keys. Well, I meant to say that was a beautiful performance of Lift Every Voice and Sing. And by the way, Doc, I gotta say one thing. There's a friend of mine in Washington who claims he had the story first. Now you came and spoke to me about this a long time ago. So I just wanted. I mean, I ain't gonna steal my man's thunder. I have a tremendous amount of respect for Mr. Gray. Mark Gray is a good friend of mine.
Mark is a friend of mine.
Yeah. Good, but I remember you being on this show first. But I didn't. It's not a big deal, and I will definitely give him credit for putting you out there like that, for having.
And you know what? Let me tell you, somebody else who put this out, who hesitated from putting it out.
Who's that?
Who's that sports writer? Oh gosh, not Eton Thomas, but he and Eton have a television show.
Oh, talking about Dave Zirin. Dave Zirin.
When I shared this bit of information with Dave on a couple of talk shows, he said, "Well, Dr. Williams, why is it that we should be singing Lift Every Voice and Sing?"
Mm-hmm.
And I said, "You know why? But now we have more blacks on the teams than ever before."
Mm-hmm.
And I said, "This is a good time to do it." So
right.
In an article that he wrote the other day, well, it came out on September 3rd. He wrote an article for the Nation magazine, because he's a sports writer.
Yeah, I know Dave very well.
You know Dave?
Yeah.
Yes. So I just wanted to call in this morning, not to talk about the virus or anything like that, but to talk about the fact that I'm rooting on Sunday for the Washington football team. And I want to say this, and then I'll end. Anybody who wants to know a little more about what I have done, just Google Lift Every Voice and Sing.org.
Okay.
Lift Every Voice and Sing.org.
Okay.
Thank you.
No problem. We got before we get to Shalice Manson Young, who's on the line with us, we have and I want to thank Dr. Eugene for basically calling in today. Ali from Southwest.
Yeah, Chris, how are you?
I'm doing okay, brother.
Good. Chris, I want to agree with you about Johnny Sample. Should be in the Hall of Fame, not only because of his him being a football player, but a great humanitarian.
Right.
I'll give you a quick story. Johnny, when Bernard Hopkins beat Trinidad, Johnny had buses going up to New York to support Bernard.
Mm-hmm.
And he also, after Bernard won, he had the city of Philadelphia give Bernard Hopkins a parade.
Wow.
Down Broad Street. I don't know if you're familiar with that or not.
Yeah. Because I remember. I'm trying to think. I think I saw Johnny when, and because it was a similar thing when Bernard beat Oscar De La Hoya, knocked him out in the 10th round with a body shot. And so, yeah, I mean, Johnny Sample, from what all reports, that I've known from just in Philly, the shows that he did, I wish I would have listened to his show. I interviewed him once for a thing on the Eagles, and he is, as good a guy. As a matter of fact, I think I even knew some of his relatives along the way years ago. But that guy had a strong football mind. He was committed to me. It was very,
and not only that, Chris. The fact that they did not want to recognize Bernard as a black heavyweight champion. A champion.
Right.
Because they, I know that they had planned to give this horse secretary some kind of a parade if he had won I forget what race that was, a horse race or whatever it was. Big horse race.
Are you talking about Smarty Brown? Smarty Jones. I think it was Smarty Jones or something like that.
Yes, sir, yeah. But the fact is that Johnny said that Bernard Hopkins represented Philadelphia.
Yes, he did.
Have a parade, and he gave that parade for Johnny. He gave that parade for Bernard, and I remember he had a lot of the Philadelphia fighters who were still alive or still there. I wish I could remember some of their names. But it was a great parade,
that he had for Bernard. It came down North Broad Street, and it was right there in front of the municipal service building.
Right.
So it was a great, and Johnny Sample. I remember him having the buses going up to New York, and I remember when we got on the buses to leave to go up to New York, Johnny had food on the bus for us. He had,
wow.
He was just a great all around brother.
Right. Well, definitely, thank you for the call, Ali. It's certainly, you're right. He should be in that Hall of Fame, most definitely. I mean, I definitely think he should, and we will probably do everything on our end to help, make that possible. Okay. So on the line with us is Shalise Manson-Young, one of the best NFL writers in the Pro Football Writers Association of America, and everything else. And so, Shalise, I want to ask you about. I want to first of all, welcome you to the show, but I want to get your thoughts on the season, the season opener in Kansas City, everything that happened from Lift Every Voice and Sing to the fans booing during the Players Show of Unity.
Hey, Chris, how are you doing today?
I'm doing okay. Beautiful day out.
It's a beautiful. It feels like fall's coming a little early. It feels like fall's coming earlier and earlier every year. But I will be complete. I didn't watch. I watched tennis on Thursday night, so I was switching back and forth between the actual game.
Serena, I meant to talk about that. Yeah.
Yep, Naomi Osaka and Serena Williams were playing it on Thursday night as well. But booing during a show of unity, and I know that there were some people who said they were there in the stands and that it was fans yelling Chiefs, how they do that drawn-out Chiefs, as opposed to booing. I don't know that we'll ever get a significant answer. The timing, obviously, is, interesting on when the booing came and why would you start booing then, really.
Right.
So I just... It was Ryan Clark, I think, on ESPN yesterday who said it best. It brings up the idea again that it's never been about the flag. It's never been about the troops. It's never been about any of that. It's just that they don't want these black men and their teammates standing up to say that black people deserve more, and black people deserve to be treated better. If you were booing in that moment, that there were just 100 people standing on a field linking arms in a show of unity, and you were booing that, that's a problem. You have a problem.
Right.
Don't sit there and tell us, the kneeling is disrespectful, and it doesn't matter what they've done. At every step of the way, there have been people who have been upset. You sit, they're mad. You kneel, they're mad. You don't play all together, they're mad. So all it does is underscore that for some people, it's just a dislike of black people, period.
Yeah. And another thing, and I want to get your thoughts on this as well, another thing that I saw in this, to me, it goes to show you that this whole thing, especially with the blackballing of Kaepernick, was led by the owners. I don't think the coaches really had anything to do with it, or even other players, but the owners orchestrated this thing all along.
Yeah, I think I do. I think there was a number of owners. I don't know that it was all of them.
Right.
But obviously, when you look at Jerry Jones still publicly pushing against this and still just refusing to be quiet and go along with it and recognize, and still saying, but the fans. So what you're saying, Jerry, is that even if it's only 20% of the fans, if they're fans with more money, or they're fans who are suite holders, as opposed to the other 80% of your fans who do support these men and do support the idea that Black Lives Matter, you're more concerned with those people than you are the 80%.
Right.
You are on the wrong side of history.
Right.
Obviously, Bob McNair has passed now. He was one of the more vocal people, as we know, and the inmates running the show and whatever it is that he said.
Right.
they're on the wrong side of history with this. And when Roger Goodell released that video a couple of months ago, you know, from his basement, and he said, "We recognize Black Lives Matter." I knew in that moment that the reason he said that and the reason he took that step is because they stuck their finger in the wind. They saw polling that, as you've seen as well, now 70% of people in this country through polling are on board with the idea that racism is actually a problem in this country. So Roger Goodell, you know, stuck his finger in the wind, read the polling. Oh, I can say this now. You know, I can say this. It's okay. More people agree with us. And he can only do but so much, as we see.
Right. Because he's the owner's commissioner.
Correct. You know, and people have said for years that Jerry Jones is the shadow commissioner because he has so much influence over what happens. And he can say that he has the most valuable franchise in all professional sports and all of that stuff. And if he's not on board, I think you just have a tougher time getting all of the owners on board to say, look, this is ridiculous. We need to stand up and be on the right side of history because, as I'm sure you've said and I think we've talked about before, those owners, those men and women are the ones who have the actual power.
Right.
Who have the actual money and influence. We all know how it works. Money in this country means influence and power.
Right.
They are the ones who can go to city government, state government, federal government and say, look, qualified immunity has to go. They can push for things like that.
Right.
They can push for things like, you know, better improving our justice system, making sure, and voting, I'm stuck on this voting thing.
Right.
Because I do believe we all should have, you know, it's a right of ours to vote, but it feels like the NFL saying, oh, yeah, let's get behind voting. It's like the safest path.
Yeah.
Because, you know, in theory, people aren't going to get upset about that as opposed to them going against police unions or them explicitly trying to influence how policing happens in this country. So voting is the safe way, sort of, for them to be like, look, we're on your side.
Yeah. The one thing they didn't do, though, Shalice, I'm sorry, I mean do that, but I'm just the one thing they didn't do, and I wish that Goodell, they need to acknowledge. I know it's not going to happen, but they need to acknowledge that Kaepernick was right and to publicly apologize, and say, you know what, we should not have, you know, blackballed you or kept you from your, you know, from your profession because what you did was you stood on the side of justice instead of worrying about our bottom lines. You know, I want them to do that. They're not going to do that. Do you think they ought to do that to really show that just playing Lift Every Voice and Sing is just, you know, beyond something that's just a performative gesture?
I think so. You know, I think they do owe him an apology, and none of that's going to make him whole. I mean, you robbed him of his career in the prime of his playing time. But I think the biggest gesture they could make is if they hired Colin Kaepernick as somebody who can help guide them to meaningfully use the NFL's money and influence to make actual change.
Right.
If you hired Cap to say, look, you know, instead it would feel like something real. You know, I think, you know, we saw that the video with the Dolphins players and Coach Brian Flores the other night with them specifically calling out the NFL and saying, we don't want any more of these empty gestures. We want real gestures.
Right.
And hiring Colin Kaepernick to lead these initiatives and say, this is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to do it. These things affect real change and actually help, you know, equality and injustice and those sorts of things. I think that would go much further. And it doesn't have to be at the same amount of money he would have made if he were a starting quarterback, but I think it's a way of the league acknowledging that, yes, he was right, we were wrong, he's going to help us do the right thing.
Yeah, and like I say, I like what you just said there. I don't think it's going to happen. I mean, I don't think it's going to happen. I mean, both, and I think that that it should happen. Do I think it should happen? Yes, but the thing is, though, I just hope that what comes out of this is something. I'm looking at tangible items, something that can happen to really make and the league is in that position to help do that. And I know a lot of people are going to say, well, you can't depend upon, but these owners, but and they really need to change their mindset towards their players, and the players need to fight this too. The players in sports and high level pro sports, the players and owners are not just employer and employees; they're partners. Because if the players aren't on that field bringing in the stands, owners make no money. I mean, it's that simple. And I mean, do you think that there needs to be that kind of sea change that the owners, and I think mainly because and it goes back to Adrian Peterson saying that this is a plantation. And I think it's because these are black players. They still have this mindset that these guys are just they're dare I say they're high price slaves, so to speak.
Yeah, I think it's most prominent, unfortunately, in the NFL because the players, you're seeing a little bit more in terms of guaranteed money, but the majority of players in the NFL, they can be cut at any time for any reason, and they may never play again.
Right.
So in the NBA, those team owners have sort of no choice. I mean, when LeBron James is on board for most of this stuff, and most of the action, who is the most visible athlete on the planet, you can argue, other than maybe Lionel Messi. But, I mean, LeBron is one of the most visible people on the face of the planet. And if he's on board with Black Lives Matter and pushing, then you sort of have to fall in line.
Right.
As team owners and as a league. But when you have, Patrick Mahomes, I will say, I was completely taken aback that he was part of that players video. The one about, am I next? What if I become George Floyd? Will you act
right.
then? I was very surprised to see Patrick Mahomes in that video because like a week earlier he posted something on Instagram that was kind of like, oh, kumbaya, locker room, everybody loves each other, and I just kind of rolled my eyes like, oh God, because it just it's like one of those get along type of things. So, and Lamar Jackson's kind of, he'll retweet people, but he hasn't come out and strongly said something, and I understand not everybody has that capacity. Like, I understand. But in a league that's driven by quarterback play, and we're just now starting to see that, probably five of the top 10 quarterbacks in the game right now are black quarterbacks. So
right.
Hopefully enough of them. But prior to this, you'd see Aaron Rodgers say, yeah, I believe Cap should be in the league. And even Brady would say, yeah, I believe he should be in the league. Well, but what are you doing to help facilitate that?
Yeah.
You saying that is nice, but then behind the scenes, Brady in particular is especially problematic because he had a MAGA hat in his locker way back when. So, I mean, words are great. Gestures are better. If Tom Brady had gone to Robert Kraft and said, hey, let's sign Cap, and if Cap turned it down, then people can continue there. He doesn't want to be a backup thing, whatever. But, you need to have people who are willing to step up. And I think because NFL players are still figuring things out and are still scared in a lot of ways, and rightfully so, you could almost argue, you don't see a lot of them really putting themselves out on the branch like that. And because a GM or an owner will come by and just whack that branch out from under them, and we won't hear from them again.
That's true. And definitely, you're definitely right about that. So, but we're here, and I hope, like I say again, I want to see tangible gestures, not symbolic. I love Alicia Keys singing "Lift Every Voice and Sing." I was talking to a person before you came on who was one of the people who headed that campaign. but I would really like to see real change. But I have to ask you because I got to go to break. If I can keep you on for a few more minutes, I want to ask you about the season, about what you're saying. Cam Newton is in New England now, and I want to get your thoughts on that, and especially playing under COVID-19. I'm pessimistic about this, but I wanted to get your take on it as well. So when we come back from break, I want to talk about that. So you're listening to 900 AM WURD and 96.1 FM WURD. The Chris Murray Report will be right back.
Be heard. Want another way to join the conversation?
Follow us on social media
Using the hashtag onWURD.
Be heard.
Stay connected to Word Radio.
Independent Black Media.
Always Best Care is a great place to work. Flexibility,
leadership, purpose,
great benefits.
There's never a dull moment.
Diversity, inclusion, compasión.
We love our jobs. If you're looking for a great place to work, you can join our compassionate Team Green. You can apply online at teamgreenabc.com or call 267-909-9248.
Teamwork makes the dream work.
Tune in Saturdays from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. to hear Empire Capital and Consulting founder Mark Palmer's show titled Black Money, Black Power. This show centers around black money and how black power is derived from money. Tune in every Saturday from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. Black Money, Black Power. Hosted by Mark Palmer.
You're listening to Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD. Independent Black Media.
Okay, we're back. As a reminder, we have as our guest Shalise Manson-Youngs with YahooSports.com and covers the NFL, has been covering the NFL for a long time. The upcoming season, are you optimistic that this season is going to go through without a hitch because of the whole COVID-19 thing, or do you have any doubt that this season? Because I'm not so sure how this is going to play itself out.
Yeah, I mean, I'm more with you. I'm a little pessimistic. It's been, I think they said 1 or 2 positive tests since training camp started, which is great. But now you're talking about guys are going to start getting on planes, and they're going to be in hotels, and they're exposing themselves to different locations.
Right.
And the guys, if the 70 players or whatever it is who are in training camp together, now they're going to be playing against other people. And this is an airborne infection. We know this, right? So I'm pessimistic. If they make it through the season, wonderful. But I spoke to a doctor last week for a column that I wrote. And, she's an infectious disease specialist, and she was supposed to testify before Congress this week about voting and stuff like that. And we were talking about, it just seems like it's such an unnecessary risk.
Right.
But it all comes back to money. The reason why the NCAA told Division II and III schools, oh, no, you can't have sports this fall, but just sort of shrugged their shoulders for Division I schools and football. Why did they do that? Because those schools and those programs make money. And it's just so gross to me that you are looking at these young men, the majority of them black, and saying, your health is not really worth the money that we're going to make from Fox and NBC and CBS and ESPN when we air your games. And if you get myocarditis and can never play again, oh, well, it really just feels so gross to me that really is what this is.
Yeah.
So I don't understand. I do understand, but I don't like that reality, especially the college kids. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
The University of Alabama a few days ago had over 1,000 positive cases on campus, but they can't shut the campus down because if they shut the campus down, then they can't have football. And that's so gross. That's so gross, and it's so wrong that you are basically saying, if we don't have football, we don't have money, and money is more important than your health.
Yeah, and that's, and that's something and that's really And that comes from the top of this country, with the president. And I'm not going to get too much into that. But the thing is, what bothers me about that, and it's almost, and I'm a big college football fan. I love college football. I can't get excited about this because of that COVID-19, that people are going to get, and that virus, are going to take it back home to their respective hometowns, or they're going, and all that, and they don't care. They don't care about the health of black, and this goes back to everything, which is one of the reasons why I think that some of the NBA players were saying we shouldn't have sports at all until we deal with the social issues in this country. And it's getting back to that point where, I'm kind of like this. Yeah, it was good. It was good to watch Patrick Mahomes and DeAndre Hopkins. Yeah, I enjoyed it. But I'm saying to myself, if a whole team, what if you lose the whole offensive line? What if you lose? What if all these things? And it's not fear mongering. And I've been to the Eagles. I think they're going to do what they can, but I still question the wisdom of all this, because we got 190,000 deaths from this, and it's almost like I like the term you use. It's gross. It's grotesque that we're trying to have sports in the midst of a global pandemic.
Right. It's just this whole, and like you say, you don't want to get too far down the rabbit hole in terms of the political aspects of this, but this pandemic has, for those of us who are paying attention, it has done nothing but highlight the iniquities in this country, racially, economically, in terms of caste and your status in this country. Because instead of spending the last 6 or 7 months putting every minute and every resource into making sure our schools could reopen so our children could safely return to school, so their teachers and those who support them in those schools could return, you let, AR-15 wielding white people show up in state houses because they were pissy that they couldn't go to Applebee's. That is not how it should work.
Right.
It should be that every resource was poured into testing, tamping things down, and getting our children back in school.
Right.
I live in Boston, and our children, before this, they're in independent schools, they're in a private school. And Boston Public School, they haven't even opened yet. And they might open remote for a couple of weeks, and then some kids will go back to school, but the teachers, and the teachers are unionized, and they're fighting it, and, because they don't know how safe they're going to be. And I don't blame them that they're concerned how safe that they're going to be, because you don't, like you said, you can go to school and sure, maybe you're in a classroom of 7-year-olds during the day and you're basically okay, but what if you do bring it home and, you live with your great aunt because she helps you raise your own small children and
right.
those sorts of, there's just too much. But because we've seen now that black and brown people are being disproportionately affected by this, who cares? And
right.
That's what it feels like. That the response has been, who cares, because it's people that this country historically has never given a damn about who are the ones who are being disproportionately affected by it. And now, that small segment of young black people who are incredibly talented and skilled at a sport, well, now we're sacrificing them as well because you're bored and it's Saturday afternoon and you need something to do. And it's, like I said, it just highlights everything that's wrong with this country.
Right. And so, and I look at these things, and I'm looking at this whole thing, this whole landscape, in the sense that I don't know how this is going to last. I will ask you though, but I have to ask you about some of the on-field stuff. Cam Newton in New England, how well has he been received, and have you had a chance to talk to him? Have you had a chance to see him work out and everything?
No, I haven't been down to Foxborough. I've talked to one player, and he's from the beginning, from the day they signed him, he was excited.
Right.
And it seems like he's been really well received by his teammates. He was voted a team captain, which makes sense. Once he was named the starter to open the season, you kind of had to make him a team captain.
Right.
But I do think I don't think that was like fudging the numbers, so to speak. It's usually a player's vote. I do think Belichick has a hand in it, the end result. But, you know, I think his teammates love him, as we've always known.
Right.
In some media circles, there's been this decade-long effort to try to disparage Cam as some kind of punk and a thug or whatever.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't dress like a mannequin at JCPenney, and because he's a little different. But there's never been a single report at any point that he's a bad teammate or a selfish teammate or anything like that. You know, he's already created handshakes and nicknames for his teammates and coaches, and he said he's attached at the hip with Josh McDaniels, the offensive coordinator. And I think, you know, I'm excited. I've been excited from day one.
Right.
I think the fans have sort of come around. You know, like most things, I think if they go out on Sunday
right.
and they look terrible, then things might change. But, you know, I think most Patriots fans, whatever Belichick does, they're on board anyway.
Right.
So if Belichick signs Cam, then Cam must be okay. But now he's showing it in the report, you know, by trusted team veterans. Matthew Slater, Devin McCourty, they're raving about him publicly. They're raving about him privately. At least one of the players that I've talked to, you know, they're excited.
Right.
And so I'm excited to see what they do. We had to make picks for Yahoo, and I picked Cam as the MVP, sort of, just because, you know, sometimes I like to be a little bit of a contrarian.
Yeah.
You know, I think Cam's been disparaged for so long.
Yeah.
By, let's be honest, a lot of my white colleagues who cover the NFL, with no basis in reality, that I just picked him because I wanted to pick him. And I also picked Brian Flores for Coach of the Year. So,
right.
You know, I was sort of in a fist-raising kind of moment as I was filling out that ballot for my colleagues and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, you know, I like I said, I'm excited, and I think that it's like anything. You know, if they're successful, then Patriots fans will love him. If
Right.
they struggle, then he'll bear the brunt of the criticism, I'm sure.
Especially in the Boston area, because those of us who are from the outside, and I have a lawyer friend of mine who is from Boston, and he always tells me, well, Boston is no different than any other area. And on one level, he's right, because I can talk about Philly, I can talk about Baltimore, and you know all that, but it seems like Boston has historically been a tough place for black guys to play. Even with guys like Jason Tatum, you know, notwithstanding, but Boston is like, you know, Massachusetts, New England is a tough area for black athletes.
It can be. I think, you know, when they're athletes, it's just different. You know,
Okay.
that they're more visible. You know, so I don't know. I get a little defensive. I live here.
Okay.
I lived in this area my whole life. I don't know. You know, I've said before, like, how do we grade racism? Like, if we had a racism Olympics, like, what would the grading system look like?
Right.
And we do have it here, for sure. Like,
Right.
you know, Boston is fairly segregated. The neighborhoods are fairly segregated. There's certainly a massive disparity in terms of family wealth, like the amount of money the average black family has in Boston versus the, you know, amount of wealth that the average white family has in Boston.
Right.
But I think, I don't know, I guess sometimes I'm angry. But when we lived outside of the city itself, my family endured far more of that subtle racism than we have since we've lived in Boston proper.
Right.
You know, going to a small restaurant and having to wait and just kind of feeling uncomfortable, or, you know, we tried to rent a house in one of the more upscale suburbs, and we were told, well, we're sure you're a fine family, but we're going to keep looking for a different family to rent to. Really? Like, you know, what? You know how much money we make. We made enough money. So those sorts of things were things that we endured when we lived outside of the city, as opposed to now, you know, we own a house in Roxbury, which is still a fairly black neighborhood.
Right.
And we're surrounded, but we bought there on purpose. You know, we wanted our daughters to have neighbors that look like them, and fortunately that they're all really good people that we live near, and they get to see older black people, and they all own their homes, and it's it has its bumps like a lot of neighborhoods do.
Yeah.
But it's like I said, I get a little defensive, but I also just, to me, there's racism everywhere.
That's true.
And right, and so at the end of the day, we've seen so many instances of black players who make a mistake. The first thing people on social media do is pull out the N-word. So does that happen here? Yes. But does it happen other places? Yes. And like I said, if the Patriots make the playoffs and Cam plays well, and I think most people know who Cam is as a quarterback at this point, that he's not Tom Brady, and that's okay. He's not going to be stand in the pocket, took 20 years to get 1,000 yards rushing. That's not Cam, and that's okay.
Right.
They're still winning with Cam being Cam.
Right.
That's all they care about. Patriots fans here, we're now at a point where the kids who were babies when the Patriots won their first Super Bowl, they're in college now. So they don't know anything but winning. That's what they want. So if Cam Newton gets them to 10-6 and a wild card spot, then they don't care.
Okay. On that note, although I will say this though, will Tom Brady lead Tampa Bay to a Super Bowl? Do you see that happening?
The NFC it seems a little bit more wide open. I could see it happening. I don't think that's who I picked. I always try to be true to who I picked. I don't remember who I did pick from the NFC. I think it could happen, mostly because it doesn't seem like, and there's just so many unknowns, even more than usual this year. Because there were no preseason games. We haven't even seen Brady play his, usual 5 total quarters of preseason play or anything like that. So it's possible. I think the fact that the offensive players, skilled players that he'll have playing with him is huge. Last year the Patriots receiving core was pretty substandard relative to what he had gotten used to playing with over the years. So if they're working together and they're on the same page, which is, really important for Brady, that if he wants you to do, a 10-yard out, then when you get to 10 yards, you better be doing out. And if it's supposed to be a hard out, then do hard. If it's supposed to be rounded, then round it. And those sorts of details are really important to him. And as long as they're all working together, I could see it happening. I could. But, I think that's one of the most interesting things about this season is, other than the Chiefs are going to be good, we don't really know anything.
And we don't even know if we're going to even finish it. That's the thing.
That's true.
That's true. We don't know what we're going to get. Shalise, we got to go to break. Thank you so much, as always. I look forward to talking to you throughout the season. And I got to say, to me, you are one of the most respected football writers in this country, and I hope that people around the country will give you your due and your just respect. I hope that they do, and if they don't, let me know. I'll put my foot up somebody's rear end on this show.
Come talk to my daughters, because I pulled over the side of the road to talk to you, and they're sneaking candies. They think they don't know. They think I'd have to recognize. So if we could just get them to listen to me.
Okay, man. Oh man. Shalise, like I say, thank you, and and I'm kind of jealous of you because they got candy and I don't. So
yes.
So from that standpoint, thank you so much. We can see you on Yahoo Sports, right? Every day, every week, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Shalise, thank you so much today. We'll see you next time.
Okay.
Y'all take care. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we got to go to break. And then as Andy Reid would say, the last 15 minutes of the show, time's yours. Call in and all that. 215-634-8065. Meanwhile, we got to go to break. We'll be right back.
Pico has many ways to help you lower your energy usage and save money at home. Here's one. If your heating and cooling system is more than 20 years old, it may be time for your contractor to replace it with a high-efficiency Energy Star certified model. You'll get a rebate from Pico and save on your monthly electric bill. You'll find a list of new heating and cooling system rebates at pico.com/rebates. Or you can call 1-888-5-PICO-SAVE for all the details. Plus, find instant discounts on smart thermostats and more at pico.com/marketplace. There's free shipping on orders over $49.
Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM. WURD.
Join Sisters in Transformation as they unleash the Gold Diggers Women's Zoom Conference on Saturday, September 12th at 2 p.m. To register, go to sistersintransformation@gmail.com or call 215-218-8001 to register for a day of sisterhood transformation.
You're listening to Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD. Independent Black Media.
Okay, we're back. I'm sitting here, sitting here talking to my colleagues. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we got about 15 more minutes left in the show, and I'm being Andy Reid today. Time's yours. I want to hear what you have to say about the football season. Should we play? Are you optimistic about the Eagles? Eagles are good in the wide receiver position. But the problem with the Eagles, I think, the linebacker core, we don't know what they're going to come up with. I wonder, can Jalen Mills handle the free safety position and be the player that Malcolm Jenkins? That's a lot to ask. He's working back. He does have Rodney McLeod working with him and all that. So, are you optimistic? Are you upset that we're playing football? What do you think of Kansas City? Serena Williams lost her semifinal bid and everything. Apparently she had an Achilles injury that was bothering her. At least that came out. Naomi Osaka from Japan, who has a chance to win her second U.S. Open. I mean, she's been one of the best players in the country and the best players in the world. Young black female tennis player. I rooted for her, and she's been out because she's been wearing her mask. She wore Breonna Taylor on her mask. She's been been very vocal in her protests and her demonstrations against what's going on. So a lot to talk about. We got somebody on the line with us. We have BG from Germantown. I'm sorry, I forgot. I'm looking at it right here.
Hey, how you doing, Brother Chris?
I'm doing okay, man.
Man, the real MVP is still playing, and the fake MVP is out of here. It makes me laugh every year how, we put so much emphasis on statistics, but not who impacts the game. And nobody impacts the game like LeBron James. Nobody. He can take the worst. If you look how Kawhi Leonard left Toronto, but they were still competitive. When Michael Jordan left Chicago, they were still competitive. But when LeBron leaves teams, they become lottery teams. Coaches get fired, and wherever he goes, they win. He was the beast in the East, and they said he couldn't play in the West. Now he's the best in the West.
Yeah, that at least so far, because I think the matchup is going to be the Lakers versus Clippers, and that is going to be. Although I will say this, in the East, watch out for Jimmy Butler. Watch out for either Jimmy Butler or Jason Tatum.
Mm-hmm.
Watch out for those guys. Those guys are on the horizon. And so, I'm looking at this. You're right. LeBron James, I have to give LeBron James all kinds for a variety of reasons. But as a player, LeBron James doesn't have to always score 50 points a game.
No.
And he's a great he is a great facilitator.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to call him a point guard, he's a point forward. Closely he has good Oscar Robertson like numbers, and he's doing the triple doubles and all that. So he is,
he's playing defense too,
and he plays defense
out of this world.
Yeah, well, he's always done that.
There was a period of the last couple of years he wasn't putting out on D like he kind of regressed a little bit, but now he's swatting everybody's stuff out there.
Although Andre Iguodala remembers LeBron James well in the 2016 NBA Finals, going up for a shot and the ball being swatted, and that was a key play in that series for Cleveland. But in a real sense, though, yeah, you're right. Nobody's really talking about LeBron James as much. You know, they're talking about other guys, but James is still has an impact on the game. He is affecting the game, so he's still a beast. He is still, you know, one of the best players in the league. But although, like I said, Jimmy Butler and Jason Tatum are basically coming. You know, those guys.
Don't surprise me,
Rondo's been playing well. Yeah, you know, that's true.
Remember when Rondo used to couldn't shoot?
Right.
He's knocking down threes like water right now.
Yeah, but see, and you know who I'm hoping is watching Rondo? Ben Simmons. I'm hoping he's watching, because here's a guy in Rondo who wasn't a big-time long-range shooter. He took his own shots, but the thing about it, you have to evolve your game. I mean, and the thing is, Ben Simmons, no one's doubting that he's a great player. He was Defensive Player of the Year on the all-defensive team, and no one's doubting that. But dude, for your talent, if all you have to do is add a jump shot, a 15-foot. You don't even have to step out behind the line. But if you can hit that foul line jumper, if you can hit that little short jumper, you know, you keep teams honest.
Well, you know, Rondo, when they won a championship, he wasn't a scorer, but he had scorers around him, and that's what I told you before with Ben Simmons. Look at all the scorers who haven't won championships: Allen Iverson, Carmelo Anthony, George Iceman Gervin, James Harden, Westbrook. You got a lot of guys. You know, if you got a guy like Ben Simmons who facilitates, plays great defense and rebound, then he's going to have to be more like a Jason Kidd type guy if he doesn't develop a shot. Jason Kidd went to 3 finals. He won 1. At the end, he could shoot, but they put scores around him. I would move on from Embiid, because big men don't impact the game anymore like Wilton, Kareem, and them guys. If you look at Embiid, he's out. The Greek Freak is out. That guy Joker, he's going to be out probably. The big man is not like there's no Shaqs out there, and the thing is, Anthony Davis is shining now with LeBron, but he was in New Orleans all those years, and they never won anything. So big man basketball is over with as far as being the dominant thing since they've gone to the 3 and shooting. So I would move on from Embiid, build around Simmons.
Well, okay, I see that point, but to me, the game moved on from the big man, even when Shaq was playing. And I'm not saying that. I mean, I agree with you in principle. You're right. You know, I think you called last week. We've had this conversation before. Mm-hmm. But what I was saying, that said, he could still make that impact. I mean, he could still, if he wanted to play. And I mean, whether or not you move on from Embiid or Simmons, you know, that's one thing. But I just think that if you got a guy just like the Lakers, well, not the Lakers, but the Orlando Magic. You know, if you got a guy like that, you should still figure out a way to use him, to make him dominant. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
Is that I agree with you in principle. The game is a jump shooting game. I get irritated, you know, at times when I see a 3-on-2 break, and instead of a guy just taking the ball to the rack, he just passes out to the 3 as if, you know, they're going to hit it as a layup. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. I don't want to, you know that's a high percentage shot. I mean, that's a low percentage. A 3-point shot is really a low percentage shot. Yeah. Take the ball to the bucket.
I agree with them. The mindset. You know what? The dumbest play I see in basketball is when a guy has a layup. He's already beaten the defender. He's right at the rim, and he throws it out for a 3. So you lose a guaranteed 2 on a maybe 3 that they normally don't make. You're right. It's ridiculous, but hey, we live in a ridiculous world now, and you can see it in the game of basketball because jack up all these threes like a lot of these teams do. It doesn't make sense to me either.
Yeah. Okay, we got to move. I got one more call before we end our show today. Annie from North Philadelphia.
Yes, Ann from North Philly.
Ann. Hi, Ann.
Good. After hearing the gentleman speak, I'm going to make it quick. I always thought basketball should be like wrestling. It should be categories. Or some of them guys are too big to play with the other ones. They go something. But anyway.
Are you saying it's fake? Oh, I'm sorry. Wrestling?
No, it's not fake. No.
Okay.
I'm just saying, you got Shaq them against somebody like Ivan Iverson or somebody like 190 pounds. These guys, 250 pounds, look like they benching every day. But anyway, and the next thing is, I was calling about the young players. I mean, are the college students now allowed to take money in advance? That's what I want to know.
No, money in advance of graduation? No.
No, I mean, like they get ready to play, then they offer them, because a lot of them have been disqualified because they gave them money.
Oh, you talking about like agents and stuff like that?
Right.
I gotta look into that further. I don't think that it is, but at the same time, I do think they should be compensated for what they do. I mean, you're bringing in millions of dollars, and in this situation, they should be compensated. If anything, they should be compensated for this year alone. Those who are still playing, because they're running the risk of getting that coronavirus. And at the end of the day, I don't think colleges should be playing. I think everything should be remote learning. I'm teaching remote learning and whatnot. I teach, that's my other gig. And so from that standpoint, I mean, they should pay the athletes. They should pay them. I would agree with that. Annie, thanks for your call. Ladies and gentlemen, we are out of time. We have run out of time. Time out of mind. This show goes by too fast. We will see you next week. We'll be talking about Eagles. We'll be talking about there's some fights coming up soon. I got to bring in Joe San Laquito in here at some point. And so we'll see you next week on the Chris Murray Report. You're listening to 96.1 FM, 900 AM, WURD Black Talk Media. We'll see you next week.